Hello, and welcome to the Everyday Alchemist podcast, a podcast where we remind you to be the alchemist of your life, as we all possess the power to be magic and miracle and create miracles in our life, because we all are born with this natural ability. So we tend to remind you in every episode to tap into that alchemist inside of you and create a reality for yourself. So we've got an exciting Selena Lovett joining us from Spain. She is a professional healer. She is a certified psychic, a medium, a certified Reiki Master, a trance energy healer trained in quantum healing, hands of light, chakra balancing and cleansing, angel healing, pendulum, and has studied Chinese medicine. She has also done hypnotherapy, EFT, CBT, NPL, mindfulness, and life coaching. Also done yoga nidra, monology, and breathwork. I had to read that, Selena, because there's just so much work you've done. It is so impressive. Welcome to the podcast, Selena.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to be here, and what an introduction.
Oh, I am just floored. When I was reading this, I was like, this lady is so gifted. And I know that personally because I have worked with you. I have had readings done through you through tarot, and you have also always been spot on. So thank you so much. You are an incredible person as well. I have to give you credit for this journey that I am on, because through your messages that came through very early on in my journey, it really directed me in the right direction. So a personal thank you to you before we dive into the conversation. And I'm
Thank you. I'm all covered in goosebumps because
you?
it's so lovely. It's so
Oh,
rewarding, and it's so it's so wonderful to work within this realm, and that hopefully it's becoming more and more popular, that people do go and get, especially with tarot and healing. It was all sort of a bit witchy woo. Now it is becoming more mainstream, which is really great, because it's such, we've got so many resources that people don't use. And as you say in the beginning, we're born with this. We've just got to sort of learn how to tap into it. But yeah, it's so wonderful to be included in your journey. It's
oh.
wonderful to see you flourishing and glowing with all this fantastic energy.
Oh, thank you, Selena. You are glowing as well. I did say to you before we started recording, it's almost like your soul shines. I always say this to my sister because she's had a couple of readings with you too, and we both agree. You just have this beautiful energy, and it shows in your face. You are stunning, may I add.
Thank you. Likewise, my darling. But it's that saying, isn't it? Beauty is only skin deep. You see a lot of people working on the outside, and sometimes you think, well, working on the inside is what we should. Obviously, it's a whole complete package, but working on the inside on our healing journey is the number one sort of important thing, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
And I think because you shine from the inside, it kind of has an output, right? So you kind of feel you carry the light with you wherever you go. So I think it is the work. Thank you to Reiki.
Thank you.
Selena, like I read in the introduction, and I had to read it because it was such a long list. So you do so many different kinds of modalities, and we do Reiki, and there's so many other things on there. But obviously, because of time constraint, we can't jump into all the modalities. So today, I did request that you would talk about the magical power of the moon, because I personally have just in the last couple of years been so drawn to the moon, and it's so magical. So I want my audience to know how magical it is, and how you can actually create a beautiful life if you know how to tap into the energy. So could you please share anything and everything about the moon power?
Wow, do you know what? I feel that I'm here. My name's Selena, so I've always been sort of that, connected to the moon, the goddess of the moon. So I don't know whether, my mum named me because she knew what was going to happen, or because of my name, I loved the moon. But I've always been really drawn to it. And I think the thing is all that we're doing now is remembering what we have all forgotten, because in all different traditions and cultures, we lived by the moon. And we're getting back to that, I believe. We've gone through the boom of perhaps the 80s, of money, of materialism, of living 24/7. Like, years ago, the shops were closed at a reasonable hour. They were closed
Mm.
always on a Saturday and a Sunday or something like that. But now we live in this 24/7 world. So I feel it's really, really important to try to get back to some sort of point of nature. So living by the moon, I feel, does that, because when you go out and look at the moon and you just and you just look, and there's immense power, and you think, oh my God, it moves you in some way. And when you're in your office connected with your computer, or we're on our screens, we forget that we're not alone, that, there is a higher power, a higher force. We just have to step outside and look at it. So I feel that's one of the biggest things. It's just something that we shouldn't ignore. We have to get back into nature and relearn, or remember how to tap into the power to heal ourselves and to live more synchronized with our body clock and the clock of the world, rather than the wristwatch. So
Yeah.
what I feel the moon really gives us is, we have, instead of on like New Year's Eve, everybody, says, all right, I'm going to go to the gym every day, I'm going to eat healthily, we try to make some changes and improvements. What if you tune into the moon? What you can do is start giving yourself every month time to check in with yourself, to manifest, and then to release. So with the new moon, it's great to manifest something. You sort of plant the seed. So you can look at the moon like a breath. So with this planting the seed with the new moon, it's like your in breath,
Mm-hmm.
and it grows and grows to the full, and then you release, pause, and then start again. And it's a bit like how we can live through the month. So in the new moon, we think, okay, we feel into ourselves, what do I wish to manifest in my life? What do I want to change? How do I want to feel? And we can perhaps write it down, have a bit of a ritual. There's lots of different things you can do. But you take that time to become self-aware of what you need. And I'm not talking about a new Mercedes or a new, it's like, what do you need, what emotion do you need? So it's a really nice time to check in with things. I tend to use my cards, oracle or tarot cards, because it can go deeper. What do I actually want to manifest? And then we can take steps. So if you want a new job, I want to manifest a new job, we can sort of plant the seed, and then the steps you can sort of start taking towards the full moon. So perhaps you look, you sign up with an agent, or you start looking through the computer, the websites, and tell your friends. So you start taking steps to help this to manifest. And then at the full moon, you have time to release what's not working. And so you can reassess where you are. Perhaps it's you need to more confidence. So you have to release the lack of self-belief. So you look where you're not working in your life. What's not working for you? Oh, I'm not confident. So you can think, okay, I want to let go of that incident. I want to let go of the past. I want to let go of those words. My dad said I'd never be a success, but it makes you look, because a lot of the time we just fly through life. And with the
Mm.
big full moon illuminating down into our shadows or into our souls, we can sort of have a shift through and think, okay, I don't want that. I don't want to feel like that anymore. I don't want that block in my life. And also, what we can do sometimes with the new moon, and we can all want different things and new things in our lives. But sometimes when you get to the full moon, you think, okay, well, it's not really a new job I need to manifest. I need to change and heal the emotions I have around my job, my current job. So again, you can feel that, okay, it is the right job for me. I need to change and heal some emotions so I can be happier, because sometimes it's not the job or where we live or who we're with, it's us we're not happy with. But
Yeah.
at least you're checking in with yourself. And then with the full moon, it's a really important time to release what no longer serves you. So I hold group circles, and what we do is, because I find we can do these rituals on our own and they're perfect, but when we join together, that collective energy makes it really powerful. And I work a lot with past life healing for releasing some of the chains that hold us back that aren't really our issues or past life memories. And so it's like unhooking the emotions that are stuck there to help us move forward. But I also do a lot of womb healing. You know, we carry so many pushed down emotions in
Mm.
our womb, and we also bring forth gifts, but also the wounds of our parents, you know, the blocks perhaps our family had on their finances because they were born. You know, in the war-torn country, or they were born in different things. So we go right back, you know, and start releasing from other people. But then we also go into release from what's been going on when we go through, as you have done yourself, really challenging situations. We don't have time to grieve or mourn or stress or worry. We just have to get on with life because we've got other people to take
Yeah.
care of, or we just can't afford to cry because we won't stop. So we just have to
Mm.
shove those emotions down and get on with life, you know.
Mm.
And then if we don't, you know, 5 years later, something happens and it triggers a healing journey. And it's almost like we just know that this is the time we have to start looking and start to heal, because if not, that what we push down, especially I feel with women, because we push them down into our emotional seat, our sort of chakra, sacral chakra, the womb healing, and we push them down. So then, especially as we get older, we can then notice problems within you know, our fertile organs, within our menstrual cycles,
Mm.
even putting weight on and getting very bloated in that area. It's because we're pushing all the motions down. And then that can, as we know, energy can then sort of start to solidify into a physical problem. So the
Yeah.
moon lets us tap in, especially to that feminine, the divine feminine energy, and look what's in our sacral chakra, whether you're a man or a woman. That's our emotional seat, you know. So we can look in and start to clear out things. And what we often notice as we work with the full moon, with its light shining in at what we hide in the shadows or what emotions push down, as we filter them up and work with intention, and we look and realize that actually what I went through there is my superpower. I must share it with the world instead of pushing it down. Or that part of me I've hidden because I was ashamed of myself, I should actually forgive and let go of now. You know, it no longer, I've learned the lesson. It's time to release it. So we have this really, it's such a magical time to do this, you know, and we let go of a lot of things. We can do, as I say, working groups to do a lot of healing with sacred symbols and meditations. So we work to do that. But even at home, you can sit and write, you know, I'm fed up of feeling this way. I don't want this block in my life. I'm ready to, you know, whatever it is. Um, and you can sort of sit down and say, well, look, I wish to release this person that did me so much harm. And you can start to forgive them, or if not, you can start to release some of the emotions that whatever happened in your life has caused. So perhaps you don't forgive or forget, but you release a lot of the junk of these
Mm.
emotions that build up and stop you living life to the full. Because
Yeah.
when we've
Selena,
gone
can
through
I?
challenging times, we have stress and fear that blocks us going forward.
Sure.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, so if someone is listening, I'm going to take you right back to the beginning. So when you started talking about the new moon, this might be a very new
Mhm.
concept to them. So the very step, maybe the very first step for them would be to go get a lunar calendar to see where, is that how they would start this journey? Because they're probably
Yeah,
like, how do I start? How do I know when the new moon is?
there's so many free apps on, you know, on your phone that you can download, or if not, you can just, you know, when is the new moon in July? So in July, we've got it on between the 4th and the 5th of July. So once you know when it is, you can start having a think. You know, it's like being given the opportunity of New
Yeah,
Year's Eve every month.
every
You know,
month.
we all get excited. It's New Year. I'm going to change. My life's going to be different. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to start living different. I'm going to look for a new job. And then come February, we've forgotten all
Yeah.
about it.
I feel
So
like
it's like you've
because
got this new opportunity every month.
I say that too. The moon is such a gift and it's here every month, and yet people don't know how to tap into it. So, going back to the new moon, say some, because it is for setting intentions, it is for starting something new that you want to manifest into your life. So,
Mm-hmm.
so once they've got the calendar, do they do this? Do they set the intentions a couple of days before the new moon, or would they set it on the date of the new moon?
Well, because what I feel starts the process, everybody can sort of work differently, but as we approach to the new moon, we're still exhaling that breath. So we have a period just before the new moon, which is the dark moon, which is that final breathe out. So on this final part, it's a little bit to sort of think, okay, I want to start manifesting a new job. So you
Mm-hmm.
can think a little bit before starting to manifest. What's the last thing you need to let go of before you manifest?
Right.
So if it is a new job, you think, okay, well, I've wanted to go for a new job for years. I want to manifest this, and you think, oh, and you feel that fear straight away because it's a fearful changing a job if you've been there for years. So you think, okay, I'm going to let go of fear. I'm going to trust in the universe. I put my manifesting wish down on a paper. There's so many different rituals that you can do. And you can sit, sometimes I sit with, and look, it's just right next to me. I sit with my moonstone. I've got lots of different stones that you can work with the moon. Anything, you don't need to, you can come pick a pebble up from the beach or an acorn from the woods. You
It's the
don't need to
intention
spend
behind it.
any money doing it. And then you can just sit with it and put your intentions into it. Or with pine cones, they're great as well because you could write, you know, if you want a new job but you're not confident, you can start writing affirmations. I am confident, and just putting it in as a little wish with your pine cone. And it's just an action every day that you're affirming and put in your intention, because we create, as you said in the beginning, we've all got this fabulous magic. We're all alchemists, but we can't just think. I know there's lots of different schools of manifesting, and it's like, oh, I am abundant, and that's it.
Mm,
That's all we have to do. I believe that we have to, yes, we can create magic, but we have to make space for it. And we also have to sometimes put energy behind those words. So we can say, I am abundant, or I have a new job, I am confident. But then that's energetic, but then we also have to work on our mental mindset. And so if you say, oh, I manifest a new job, and then you're saying, oh, yeah, but I don't really want to leave because I'm scared. So it's working, it's taking steps every day and keeping things perhaps written down. So it keeps it like a vision board, even, or things written, sigils, which are quite easy to make, which I love to do, when you just have your sentence, I manifest magic, I manifest money, and you can take just the vowels out and
mm,
make sort of like a picture with the consonants. So you can make something and you can stick it, in front of your computer. Yeah, there's so many different ways. I mean, I also manifest with tarot cards because I love
yes.
the images on tarot. So I will get an image of something that resonates with me. If it's sort of like a money, I would perhaps put the Ten of Pentacles and thinking, yes, I want to, be abundant. If it's a new job, perhaps Ace of Pentacles. So there's loads of different ways you can harness that, as long as you're doing some step that resonates with you. In the group, what we do, because it's a sort of a little bit like working with the power of eight, as we put our energy all together. In the new moon, whereas with the full moon, you're letting go. In the new moon, what you're doing is almost like filling your energy up, your light up, and sending it out to raise. So you raise your vibration to become in alignment with what's meant for you on your
Mm-hmm.
soul purpose. So, and when we work in a group, because we're sort of sending energy to each other, we then receive it back tenfold. So we really start creating alchemy, making things happen. And sometimes it doesn't come in as we want, so we also have to be a bit open to that. Sometimes you want a new car and you get a new bike because you need the exercise. So sometimes it's not always what we want, but at least we have the intention behind it.
But do
But
you
whatever
think,
way you
sorry, go on.
now, I was just going to say, whatever way you do it, take in command, control of our lives, taking those steps lead us to better life. And it's also very empowering because sometimes you can just feel swept away on the 9 to 5. Everybody's buying this or doing that. I've got to keep up with the neighbors or the Facebook post, and you can get swirled along with life. And it can make us very unhappy because nobody's life looks like our life. When we've got challenge, you think, well, it's okay for them, and it's hard life. But when we focus on our life, our energy, and the moon, and how we can empower ourselves to feel better, to become more balanced, and just to live more in harmony, it's really empowering. And then you don't care so much about everything else, and then magically that starts coming in, because when you feel better with yourself and you start working on yourself, as life just improves. So all of a sudden you get that new job that you wanted, and you think, oh yeah, I was wanting to manifest that. It took a long time, but I've had to heal this, get rid of that, and I'm more confident, my light's shining, and I'm getting, in alignment with my soul journey. So it is magical working with the moon.
It is definitely.
You can tell I get all excited about it.
No, I love it. I love the energy because me too, like, I've only started working with the moon probably in the last, maybe in the last couple of years, but now I'm getting, so I have a ritual. Every new moon, I do journal about it. I do journal what I want. And at the full moon, I've learned to surrender to the divine plan. Like you said, if you want a car and you get a bike, you know that the universe is always there to support you. You're always co-creating with the universe. So even though I might think I need a car, my spirit guides and my divine team know that no, she needs to exercise. So we're not going to give her the car because, So I love that. I really, because it's such a simple example, but it is so powerful because I think people will understand that it's not always about getting what you want, but when you co-create with the universe will always bless you, with your highest good. And that's my intention all the time.
Sure.
Every time I manifest anything, I do add for my highest good. And what I wanted to say was at the full moon, so because I've got I printed this off. No, actually, I didn't print. I lie. I signed up to your website and you get a free moon calendar worksheet. So this is absolutely beautiful, and I know it's available for everyone. So if you want to talk about that, but it's so helpful because it's got all the phases of the moon and it tells you exactly what it is. So under new moon, you've got set intentions, ask for desires to manifest, new beginning, and at full moon, you act fully, you release and let go, and you cleanse. So what do you mean by cleanse?
Well, I feel when we're working with energy, or what's happening, and especially now with this collective energy that's around, with the world in such chaos, what happens is that we can pick up a lot of energy, especially empaths. I imagine anybody watching or hearing this, sorry, listening to this, and being empathic, they're very sensitive to energy. So what's happening is that unless we pause, and again, the moon gives you that excuse or reminds you to pause, and then you think, okay, I need to cleanse. And so what's really good is just to do a cord cutting, call in Archangel Michael, and just so we cut the cords to any attachments, any lower negative energy that, we have. Because when we watch the news, if we sort of see something happening, we immediately, as healers or as empaths, send the energy out to that poor family, that poor situation, the horror. And with that, we sort of create cords. Then we have perhaps families or people at work that are in our minds a lot. So we create this cord. We may have an argument with someone. So we pick up these energy things. We're a bit like a magnet. Well, we are a magnet, really. And so we can get all this energy. And so it's best to do every day, but just with intention, sit and cut the cords with Archangel Michael or whatever you like to do. Light some sage and just sort of pass it over you and just ask for all low vibrations to be removed. And it's just an external energy cleanse. And then you can also do it internally, just sort of let cleanse of the emotions. I love in the shower of a morning, just sort of getting under the
Mm,
water, and just sort of being grateful to have clean water, but also just saying, with this water, bring down the light to cleanse any negative energy, any cords, any feelings, because we also get attached to people when we're scared, we put our feelers out, our energetic cords. So it's just nice to release that so that when we start manifesting or living, we know that our emotions are ours and not what we've picked up from the neighbor because they've got problems, or that somebody's just going to lose their job or their house, or and we when we see them, we pick up their fear, and then we go home and feel fearful, and that can build up. So it's great to have a daily energy care, and do the protection and cleansing, and so we can sort of live within our sort of energy bubble. But we do forget to do that, but at
me too.
least at the full moon you have a reminder of sort of saying, okay, yeah, let's cleanse my energy. Oh, I don't need that on me anymore. And how am I feeling? And then you can sort of, as you said, just surrender to, you put your intention, you've taken some steps, you're sort of looking after yourself and your energy, and then you can say, okay, bring it on. What's going to
Yeah.
happen?
I think there's so much power in surrender. I think because once you do surrender, you know that the universe will bring you what's meant for you. So that has been one of my tools with Nishaya as well, with my daughter, obviously, about my daughter's condition. And sometimes things are beyond my control. Like, I told you
Yes.
just 2 hours before we started, it's 8 p.m. here. This is my first time I'm doing a night podcast. And, 2 hours before that, well, just before I was about to give her dinner, she had a seizure. And I was so close to canceling. And my husband said, don't cancel. Because, we just surrender, and thank goodness she came right. And I was telling you, because we've just had this huge strawberry full moon last week. Was it last week? I can't even remember now. The week before.
Yeah, that must have been, yes, yeah, we're
Yeah.
sort of in the
Yes.
middle. We've got the new moon on the 5th, so we're sort of within that. It must have been a
Yeah.
week ago. Yeah.
So my daughter is very, very sensitive to the full moon, and it took me a while to realize what was actually happening, because we used to, a couple of years ago, maybe 3, 4 years ago, we used to end up at the hospital, and it was when I started marking it on the calendar, I started noticing it was always to do with the full moon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I would talk to the nurses, and they'll be like, full moon is the busiest time for us. And it's a known thing that on the night of the full moon, the hospitals are the busiest. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So obviously, there's a lot of the moon has a lot of effect on our body. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
go
no,
on.
it's incredible. I mean, I get so passionate about it, but I remember, I mean, the tides, if you go out, the full moon
Yeah,
will pull, because I live near the sea, so I watch it and see the effect it has on it. My neighbor works at a psychiatric hospital, and she dreads the full moon because she said it's
yeah,
such a busy night. There's a lot of births on the full moon. I mean, where I live in Spain, we're very village life, and it's like, oh yeah, you'll have, the 9 full moons, and once after that full moon, you'll give birth. Luckily, that one's not 100% true, because if not, everyone would be in the
Can you
hospital
imagine?
looking so full. Everyone's born on the same day.
Yeah,
But but it's incredible. And if we start to sync up with that energy, as you say, we can then start to prepare ourselves for that
yes,
energy. And if we can even notice in ourselves, around the full moon, I'm energized. I'm going to make more work. I know I get quite tired around the full moon, so I try not to work so much, and I don't sleep so well, especially because I work nights with the
same with my daughter.
circles. And then I
Yeah,
think, oh, I don't sleep so good because I know I'm getting lots of downloads. I'm getting a lot of, intuitive tweaks or whatever. And yet with the new moon, I'm energized. So when you start noticing that, you can plan for, you think, okay, my daughter's going to be a bit more, um, or
restless.
just maybe need me more,
Mhm.
or for when you launch things, I've got a new project, I'm going to do it, I'm going to launch my book on the new moon, I'm going to launch my podcast on the new moon, or but you can, because then you think the collective energy is going to be higher, it's going to be more receptive, whereas
Absolutely.
sometimes around the full moon people are like, oh, I'm too tired for that, oh, I'm too confused, I don't feel good, so
Yeah.
you can start living around the full moon, and that can take away, that 24/7 we've got to be productive. When we start syncing our bodies, which they're already synced, but we sort of forget the connection, and then we think, yeah, I'm really energized this week, and when you're not, you think, okay, we're heading towards the dark moon, or we're at the full moon, I'm tired, well, that's normal, I'm just going to rest, because we need to
Yeah.
rest to get
We do.
those the intuition in, and have that flow between the masculine action energy and the female sort of inspiration. And again, that's how, once we get into the balance and the flow with the help of the moon, we have inspired action. So we get that the intuition that thinks, okay, yeah, I'm going to start a podcast, and then the masculine, the divine masculine, takes the action, and that way we sort of have a flow instead of sort of just being either in one or the other, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's an amazing tool.
It is, and I would highly recommend everyone start plotting, on a calendar, get a calendar out, mark down the new moons and the full moon, and see how your mood is. Because I know I do have a friend, and her husband always is very moody around the full moon. So now it's like an inside joke. Oh, full moon's coming,
Yeah, full moon.
So yeah, so it's quite
Well,
interesting.
yeah, sure. And a lot of women's menstrual cycles will
Yeah,
sync up to the full moon.
yeah.
And I've got two daughters, and we know around full moon, one's a Cancerian, so she's really connected to another moon child. And you think, oh, don't tell her yet. Don't leave it till
Yeah.
tomorrow. It's full moon.
I know, it's so interesting. Once you start plotting things on the calendar, you're like, oh my goodness, okay. And you can use it to your advantage. I feel like, thousands of years ago, like you said, at the beginning, this is how they used to operate. They used to use the full moon for navigation, for, cultural rituals. I know, like, I'm a Hindu, and I do know they have, rituals around the full moon as well. So it's such a powerful tool. Now, I mean, the way I look at it, and I actually heard this not long ago, someone was explaining it really well, saying the sun is like a masculine energy and the moon is feminine. So when you sit under the full moon beam, you're actually getting because the sun is coming, the light is coming through the moon and the beam is coming through you. So it's actually balancing the feminine and the
Yeah,
masculine energy in you. So if you can't do anything, if you're not going to set intentions or do anything, but if you could just sit under the full moon light,
yeah.
I think that's powerful enough,
Just,
isn't
I
it?
feel, just going out and acknowledging it, moon bathing as you do the
Yeah,
sunbathing, and when you need, when you feel stressed, the moon energy is very cooling. So you can also, because it's the feminine, whereas the masculine, the
yeah.
sun is the heat. What you can do is just do some, like, a moon breath, which is something that I love to do if I'm feeling a bit stressed, or I want to make a break between one activity and another. I'll sit, preferably outside, but if not, and if I know I really want to get into an intuition for a bit of insight for me, I'll just block the right nostril up and breathe in and out through my left nostril.
Oh,
And
okay.
when I'm breathing, I'll breathe in with the visualization of the new moon growing to the full, and then exhale full to new. And so you just pause, even if you do 5 or 6 breaths. And what you're doing is you're helping to balance your female energy,
Wow.
bringing it through the meridians. But it does have such a calming effect.
Mm.
And then you're perhaps more open to intuition, especially if you're trying to make a decision, because I feel, we've got, we're 100% energy, and then if we're worrying about 20% worrying about this, and we've got a decision to make, we take so much energy in making the decision, and then once the decision's made, we second guess it, we waste a lot of time. But if we can sort of get into our center, connect to the moon and the sun, because you've got that masculine and a female energy, but you start balancing yourself with breath, with intention. you can then have that intuition come through to the decision that is best for you. And then don't overthink it. Go with that. Take that masculine step forward, or the divine masculine energy impulse forward to act on it. So yeah, you can do so many activities with the
That's
full
really
moon,
interesting. I never
or
knew
with
to
the
do
moon.
that.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
interesting. So I'm going to definitely be adding that onto my rituals. I know we're going to go into the second phase of this podcast episode because I mean, you are just such a magical lady. I want to just get so much out of you. So before we kind of move away from the moon magic, do you collect moon water? Because I'm quite curious about this.
I do collect moon water. I charge my crystals up again because it cleanses them, because I use my crystals quite a lot for healing, intention setting, grounding. I use them a lot. And I use my tarot cards and my oracle. So I will put them out if it's not raining or anything, I'll put them
Mhm.
out under the full moon to be charged and cleansed. And I'll also put, especially a glass bottle of water out, and I'll put my intention in it. So again, if you're using the full moon to release, I can ask, can you detox my body from any,
Right.
because we're forever eating, even if we eat healthy, we're breathing in toxins, we eat toxins, even if we try not to, and we put them on our skin, even if we try not to. There's all
Yeah.
the, so it's like you can put the intention of whatever you need into your water, put it out or without intention and just charge it. But then when you're drinking it, you've got this, I am cleansing my body, I'm detoxing my body, and that water flows through your whole system, and that energy that goes through everything. So it can be, it's great to detox as well.
Wow, that's incredible. I love that. I need to do that. I've heard so much about moon water and I've yet to do it, so I'm definitely gonna do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
and the thing is as well, that's sort of the moon, but you can also do it with the sun. If you're
Yeah.
feeling incredibly, because the feminine energy is great, and that so's the masculine. And if you're too much in the feminine, which is perhaps too much, without motivation, so you're getting
Mhm.
all this inspiration and you get all these creative ideas. I'm going to write a book, I'm going to draw that picture, I'm going to do this, and you're not actually doing any. Sometimes you need that masculine energy. So you can make sun water as well. Again, being careful, making sure that it's a
Right.
glass bottle, not plastic, putting it out in the sun with, the intention for, please, bring me some vitality, and so you're pushing your intentions because that's all we need as our magic wand. This will bring me vitality. It will give me the energy that I need to get through this day, this week, this situation. And you can have sun water as well. So you
Do
could
you
have
know,
a
so
bottle of both, maybe drink some in the morning and some in the evening.
it's so funny because I do sun water because my kitchen gets a lot of sun. So I automatically, when I'm filling my daughter's cup or anything, I bless it because we bless her water. So I ask for the sunlight to come through and we bless it. But so interesting, I do the sun water, but not the moon water. So I thank you for reminding me that,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
I can actually
lovely.
do.
Because again, I mean, I remember when we were just came on, we were speaking about your daughter who's gone through like a reset, we were saying
Yeah.
with the moon, but because we've just had the solstice, I
Yes.
know you've got a different, but it's
Yeah.
still sort of the sun, and then we've had the full moon. So, you can sometimes have a bit of a battle with the masculine and feminine energies, and when they balance up, it gives you a whole new, rebirth or re-energized. So I
Yeah.
feel your daughter's naturally doing that with the
She is.
flow and with the help of blessed water. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
I mean, she is completely going through everything quite naturally, quite divinely. I try and help her with what I can, but I do know that she's in such a cycle, and they are looking after her. And it took me a while to catch on to what was actually happening. So now that I do know, there's not so much of a panic anymore because it's like, okay,
Yeah,
she's just resetting again. And yeah, so I'm great. I'm so grateful that I'm in this work because I now sort of understand what's actually happening.
yeah.
So this is my
And
reason for
she's
doing this.
teaching you so much, and it's quite
Yes,
difficult sometimes as a mum to think my kids are, but that's they all do in their different ways. But it's quite
yeah.
incredible. You think, oh my God, she's teaching me so
Yeah.
much.
Actually, I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for Nishaya. So,
Yeah,
this is my reason for doing the podcast, because I learned so much in this journey, and I'm still learning to this day. I learned 2 hours ago.
yeah,
So my duty, I always prayed to God, heal my child in the best way possible. Healing doesn't mean like a physical healing. Healing isn't she's whole
mhm,
in herself, and she is there now. For me, she's healed. And I promise God, you do this for me, and I'll make sure I teach others. So this is the reason I'm doing the
yeah, for
podcast. It's
sure.
not easy, because it is, taking time out and, preparing for it, because I am a busy mom, but I feel like I'm upholding my side of the promise to God.
Yeah, but I think even more than that, it's an extension of her. So
Yeah,
she is speaking through you.
yeah,
And being able to give so much support to so many people in similar
absolutely.
situations, or it's funny, when we went back to the beginning, we were talking about our energy and glowing, but the thing is what we do is have a ripple effect. And even if we reach one person with that light and they start changing their life and the way they're dealing with their challenges, then that's perhaps our soul mission that's coming
Absolutely.
through her.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
feel like she is here for a higher, deeper reason. I have been told she was a healer in the past, one of her past lives, and she was the mom, I was the daughter, and she was the healer. So obviously the roles have changed this time round. And
Mm.
like you said, without speaking a word through me and Nick, she's reaching so many people. It's just, this podcast has been incredible. I get a lot of personal messages coming through from people
Yeah,
to say,
for
oh, wow, that was
sure.
incredible. But it's still taking a wee while for people to step up and make a comment or do something freely, because they're all stuck in this taboo, especially in my culture. I come from a Hindu background. So people are now sort of starting to go, oh, actually, there is something more than religion out there. Um,
Yeah.
and it's honestly just going back to what they used to do in the olden days, right? It's nothing new.
Exactly, exactly. I was speaking to somebody the other day about angels, and I said, but angels have, why would we not believe it?
I
It's
know.
written in so many religious texts, and you go to different, so it is something. And when we look at even the birth of tarot, which has got roots in so many years ago within different religions and different methods of divination, so but it is such a shame that it is quite taboo, but
Yeah.
it's changing. I know when I started my healing as a practitioner probably 30 years ago. I live in a village in Spain, and so they were, it was very, you know difficult to, they just thought it was a witch, and it was all a load of nonsense. Now it's in hospitals in Spain, in America, in England, so especially in the children's wards and cancer wards. And it's now really become quite fashionable. It's quite normal that people do and study Reiki and and pull cards and tarot. I
Yeah.
mean, you go on Instagram now. I know when I first started, when I was, I think, gosh, oh God, I can't even remember how many years ago, 40 odd years ago, reading tarot. I came across them, somebody gave me them when I was a teenager, and they became my sort of to navigate life, because there wasn't internet or, lots of books to help you. You were living life and you didn't know where you're going. You knew there was something more going on, and tarot became my guide. But now you look on internet, Instagram, TikTok, everybody's there with so many different things. So
Oh
it
my
is
goodness.
becoming, so out there and quite normal to do.
I think it has. I mean, you started about 30 years ago. I started this work probably realistically maybe 5, 6 years ago. Even back then, when I started, no one would talk about it openly. It's only, I feel like, since COVID,
Mhm.
since after COVID, people have freely started talking about it. It does actually, there's so much goodness that's coming out of it, people talking about it freely, but then I do see it getting abused as well, because people are, oh my
Well,
goodness. they are just screwing the message just to make reels, just to get views. And it's like, can you please give credit to the authentic person and don't
Yeah.
scrutinize the message? Leave it as authentic as possible. Do you get annoyed with it? Because I actually do.
I do. I've actually come off of social media, except for what I have to do
Yeah,
and that was a big step for me because I think I've been in from 2016. I had a really big audience, and I loved going on Instagram and Facebook and being live, and it was a lovely, lovely community. And I think I had like 25,000 followers on Instagram. It was really good atmosphere. And then people started fake accounts,
yeah,
where you could, and it was very funny that happened with Instagram. You used to be able to make an advert and you could tag psychic, healer. Now all of those tags are gone. It's like some, they're pushing the healers, the psychics, and then you get a lot of people that are just not, perhaps, and this sounds a bit, but not respecting the
I agree.
journey to become a healer. It's not an overnight fast
No,
track. I do teach Reiki and I do it quite quickly, but then you stay within the
yeah,
parameters, and can we carry on together? So it's very quick. But
it's
then
very
there's sort of all the
sacred.
fast tracks. Learn tarot, and then the next minute everybody's out there giving predictions and advice. And you think, well, that isn't tarot. It isn't about predicting the future. It's about empowering yourself to
Yeah,
make the right decisions, to honor you. And if there is a prediction, if we want to call it that, will I get that job? I keep mentioning jobs, but it's sort of like a safe subject. Will I get that job?
yeah,
And the card says no. It's not a prediction. It's like, well, what can I do to get that job? Well, you can change.
yeah.
You can
It's, yeah.
go to the interview more prepared. You can perhaps have more self-confidence. You can do that course. You need to study more to get that job. It is not a predictive no.
I think a
There's
good
not a
tarot reader would never give you a bad news like that anyway, because it's all about empowering. If someone is constantly telling you it's a no, or this is going to happen, someone's going to die, that to you should be like a red light going off and going, this person is not authentic, because every healer
yes.
should be empowering the person on the other side to be the healer inside of them. I mean, what you just said, Selena, if you are such an authentic healer, I've had readings done through you, and it does really, and I know it's taken a journey for you to get there. I see
Mm-hmm.
people putting up Reiki symbols for free, and it's like, no, you don't do that. You have to go through the
Mm-hmm.
initiation, and you have to, it is
Yes.
such a sacred journey. And I actually am getting really annoyed as well, and I have muted a lot of accounts on my Instagram, on my Facebook. I
Yeah.
don't even see a lot of posts these days of my friends,
Yeah.
because I don't like the stuff when, it's like a chain thing. If you don't send this to 10 people, you're gonna get stuck with,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's just fear mongering. And I can't believe some of my friends are following that kind of stuff. So I have had to mute a lot of people and say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not posting as much as I used to on my page. I made a
Yeah.
post today on my Instagram page after a very long time. I would only put up video clips of my podcast, but
Mm-hmm.
that's it, because I feel like I'm kind of letting, and I had a reading with one of my Nishai's healer not long ago, and she said something
Mm-hmm.
that, very similar to what we're saying, that it's almost like all the fake ones are just overtaking the world right
Yeah.
now. It's almost like you have to let them do what they're doing,
Yeah.
making post after post, trying to show they're so spiritual and all that. It's the action
Yeah.
behind it, right?
Well, what I did was in January last year, I started Patreon, and Patreons are paid. So there's free content, so people can come along to have free content. But for, I think, $5 a month, there's like a one healing circles, and there's weekly readings and lots of resources. And I try, because what I wanted to do was I didn't want to lose my friends or
Mm,
people that had followed me for years, but I didn't want to stay exposed. And that's how I felt. I had people pretending to be me, and Instagram was saying, well, you pay so much money a month and we'll keep your account safe. And so I
yeah.
paid, and then they still didn't keep it safe. And I thought, what is the point? The energy wasn't nice for me, so I came off of it. And using Patreon, it means that I've got my private space. I can say whatever. I talk about everything that I want to talk about. Last week we did, it was National Fairy Day yesterday. We worked with fairy energy, we work with angel energy, and I can talk about everything that I want. And the people that are attracted by the light, by the work we're doing, are coming. And
That's
so we've got a safe space. Sometimes some things are paid for, other things are free, but there's a support system and a little community. And it's sort of like not owned by anyone because we're paying for that. It's like I find it's like renting a room, saying
yeah.
this is our room, you know, and this is the monthly rent. And in this room we have a safe space to share, to talk about moon energy, to talk about manifesting, to talk about angels, to talk about healing, to pull cards.
Mhm.
And then in that space, nobody's saying, oh, inbox me for a free reading, or you've got to come to me because I can see a shadow behind you.
Yeah.
Because it one day on I've had clients for years and years and years, and I was so upset because behind my back somebody was pretending to be me, contacting my followers and saying, and it happened to a friend of mine, Linda, which she's not a friend, but she lives in England, and she messaged me. She said, oh, Selena, I'm so worried, I can't get the money to you, but please tell me now what's going on, I'm
Oh my
scared. And I was
goodness.
like, what? And she said, yeah, you messaged me saying that you can, feel this all bad energy around me and something bad's going to happen, and to pay you for a reading. But at the moment I'm out, I haven't got the money, but tell me. I said, Linda, I would never, ever contact you and say that. So that
Mm.
happened. And then I had another person. Luckily, I knew her quite well because she came for regular readings. And she said, I've just sent you, you said that I should come in for another reading because you've just discovered something about me, or you just felt something. And did the PayPal for £30. But can I have my but you never sent the reading. I was like, I've never received money for you, and it's, she had paid somebody because they'd said this. Luckily, she got the money back because PayPal is pretty safe with things like that. But it wasn't the point. That meant that two people that I knew of, it was spoiled my reputation because I don't work like that. And so I think, well, they're the two that came forward. How many have they contacted and
Yeah.
conned? So
Yeah. I
I've
mean,
just come off.
yeah, I
Yeah,
agree, Selena. I'm very, very getting annoyed, and my energy doesn't like the energy just doesn't feel right. People are putting quotes
it
after
doesn't.
quotes, and then you see their actions behind what they're doing, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just about sharing quotes, it's spirituality, it's from living from within. Anyway, we've gone in a totally different direction.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a different way. So actually, the second segment was about your tarot reading, so we kind of did end up there. So, how for someone that's listening, they don't probably even know what tarot reading is, right? So because of the bad rap it's got, can you sort of just give us a short definition of what it is and how it can empower people to make decisions and how it can help them?
Well, by using tarot or oracle, they're both divination methods. And all that really, the way it works is that if we want to receive intuition, we can just ground ourselves by just imagining, just having a bit of a quiet time and imagining our energy grounding down. And then you can connect with your cards and you get insight from within.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just ask yourself things, around, for example, I think, and also on the website, when you have the free moon thing, it gives you a couple of readings that you can do. So, for example, for the new moon, you could say, what should I be manifesting for myself? Because again, the danger with we're giving social media a real bashing today. But
That's okay, that's
the danger
good.
is with Instagram or Facebook, you can see everybody living their Facebook lives, and you think, well, I want this, I want £1 million. But when you actually pull a card, when you connect with your higher self, with your soul purpose, and say, what should I focus on? What should I manifest? And you pull a card, whether it is a tarot card, which can be a little bit complicated to learn, you've got to dedicate more time, but you can just pick up an oracle card from anyone that you fancy. There's
Mm.
some beautiful decks out there, an angel card, a fairy card,
I've got
I've
my,
got beautiful different,
I've got this
yeah,
one, your guides. Yeah,
astute guides.
I've got a lot of them, but I don't do
And then
tarot.
you can just pick a message. Yeah, I've always done tarot because I feel it goes really deep
Deep, yeah.
into, it looks really, really deep. But if you just want a message to say, what do I focus on? How can I feel better? Because usually when we start doing moon work with, or whatever healing, it's because we're not in a good place and we're just sort of desperate, or we're just looking for ways to feel better. So if you just connect in and ask a question, your card will give you some sort of guidance.
Yeah. And I've had tarot
And I've
readings
wrote
from
a
you. It goes
yeah,
quite
and the thing is, it helps so much just to have
yeah.
that guidance, because if not, we get stuck. Should I leave? Should I stay? What
Mm,
happens if I leave? And this can help give you steps. Not so much perhaps with Oracle, but for my opinion, it's more tarot would dig deeper
yeah.
into those questions. But all tarots come with a book. I wrote the book Steps to Enlightenment, which can really help. Have you got it there? Oh,
I've
lovely.
got your book and I'm gonna
Oh,
do a
there's that.
film on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this book.
And it
I
do you
love
know,
this.
it's a shame I had to change the title, so
I
now
was
it's
telling Nick
called
today.
Steps to Enlightenment. But
Yeah.
but it's instead of us, so that sort of came about because people that came from a reading would leave fully inspired, saying, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I trust what you say. I'm going to go and leave that job, I'm going to move house, I'm going to date that guy or whatever it is. But when after a week the energy dropped, and the belief, the faith perhaps dropped, and then they'd come and see me 3 weeks later and said, oh, I didn't do any of that. Whereas if you have a book or a card with you, you can keep into that energy. And so that's why this book, or why that it was birthed. And you can use it just by sort of holding it in your hands, flick into a page, and there's some advice there for
You
you.
know, I have used this
And
book
so I
so many times. I have used this book so many times, sometimes multiple times in a day. If something's happening, I feel like I have Selena sitting on my bookshelf. And it's so easy. You just think of your problem or whatever you're going through, and then you kind of ask what you should do, and you open to a page, and you always come to some
yeah,
sort of message. I actually got Nick to use it the other day. He was going through something, and I was like, here, this is your guide, use it. So thank you for bringing this book into the world. It is amazing. And I think just going
yeah.
back to what you're saying, I find the oracle cards are very easy to read. And I feel like tarot itself is such a masterpiece. And like, I think that's why I get annoyed, because it's taken you such a long time to go into deep studying of it to bring, because you are
Mhm.
so gifted. Your tarot card pulling is just totally amazing.
Well, I think the thing is that at the end of the day, whether it's oracle, tarot, pendulum, charm reading, ribbon reading, there's so many different ways to
Yeah,
scry and crystal ball. Really, what we're doing is we're just using them as a tool to
yeah,
get in touch with our intuition for ourselves, or to connect with the energy field of the person that wants the advice.
yeah,
But tarot reading, there's a couple of ways to look at it. It can be very easy because all you do is pick up the card and think or feel, what do I see? The color, it's blue. Oh, that might be my throat chakra. Looks quite powerful. Perhaps I need to bring power to my voice. So it is just clicking on intuition. Then you can go deeper into tarot. You can go into layer and layer and layer, because then you can
mm,
go into the numerology, the astrology, you can go into the symbols. And so there is a lot. I do tarot circles, where we learn and we practice with one another. But at the end of the day, really, it's just whatever method is good for you to empower yourself to believe in your intuition. I love using cards because to me that makes their energy come alive, and
mhm.
as we say, empowers us to make the right decision, or to change some aspects of the future,
Yeah,
because we're empowered to take different action. Or if we can't change we can empower ourselves by managing and coping with our emotions, and looking at deeper meaning. So it's like when we were speaking about your daughter earlier, it's like, why has this happened? What is this? What's the purpose? What's the meaning of it? Or when you look in deep, you think, yeah, this is my soul purpose. This is her soul purpose. She's come forward to spread joy and to help us adults to look at the world with joy from her, look at the world with her rose colored or child eyes, and it helps you perhaps understand. I'm just looking at my clock, it's 11:11. Just as I
Oh,
said
there
that,
you
I've got
go.
all
Yeah.
goosebumps.
Oh, I love
But
it.
she's here to make us understand that there's so much more than what we're seeing on the surface of the situation. And I'm all goosebumps.
Yeah, I've actually
So,
got goosebumps.
and that helps us understand our life and understand our purpose in our role for whatever it is, and I know I was helping somebody through a very difficult situation where somebody was passing, and she was saying like, why? And so we can't understand, we can't get all the answers, but sometimes by using tarot, you can get us a more of a connection to understand why this is happening and how are you going to get forward? What does how the future is going to be, or how the future can be for you. So I just feel they're very empowering. And at the end of the day, the main thing is you're not alone, because
Yeah.
going through what you've been through, and you think it's just me going through this situation,
Mhm.
how can I cope? How can I deal with everything? Or whoever's going through their challenges, at least they can pick up their cards and think, oh, let me connect to my higher self, or let me connect into Mother Earth, or divine wisdom, whatever it is your belief, and connect in and bring some advice through. And even I know some people say, oh, religion, but the thing is God, whoever your God is, divine source, they will speak through you from the cards. They will give you advice. So whether you're sitting in a church praying, or whether I believe, you're at home with your cards praying for help to the divine, they will bring you some answers and guidance to help you, because the divine energy, God doesn't want us here to suffer.
Mhm.
We're here to learn, not to suffer. And so they will give us guidance to help us along, our guides, or whoever, whichever source you want it to come from, but it's there. But usually our human mind is so stressed and distracted and got so much going on, it's hard to get that connection. So going out, sitting under the moon or the sun with some tarot cards is a great way, or oracle, or your whatever divination tool. Just sitting there, you'll get that insight that you
Yeah.
need to get through life.
Thank you for saying that, because I think a lot of people do think, maybe pulling a card or doing Reiki is taboo. I think they fail to understand that these spiritual tools have been gifted from the divine. And it
Yeah,
is there so we can make the connection. Like you said, we're not here to suffer, but we're here to live through our soul. We all have a soul journey, and we've come here to learn whatever we needed to learn to overcome those things so we can ascend into the next life. And
exactly.
I think even though the world is moving more and more to spirituality with the ascension, I think a lot of people are beginning to awake to the truth that there's more to it. There's more out there than the eyes meet. I think there's still a little bit of work to do in specific cultures and stuff to say actually Reiki, it's so divine. It's like God has gifted you this healing
Yeah,
energy to come through from the
yeah,
universe. All it is just universal energy, universal codes. I mean, I teach people when I have clients, I'm like, if you can't get to me, if you're really stuck, you don't even need me. You can go outside,
yeah,
go stand outside outside your house, put your hands up and say, universe, give me what I need right now. Like,
yeah,
you have that connection. Every one of us has that connection. You don't have to
yeah.
go through anything like any teachings.
And it's such a shame that children are born with all these gifts, with the
Yeah.
connection, and years, if you trace it back, we've always been able to heal ourselves. There's lots of things
Mhm.
written. We were born with this, it depends what country you're in, what form it came into, with Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, just that, in our villages in Spain, it was the herbal lady of the
Yeah.
village. We've always had the healing methods, but we've just come away from it. It's like we've been dissected
Just,
from the
yeah.
core essence of the gifts that we have, and now we're just flesh and blood. And I was saying, I really believe it should be taught in school,
I
because
think
the
so.
stress that a lot of kids go through now, of exams, of fitting in society or getting on at school, the peer pressure that's
Mhm.
around, and then leaving school, having lots of academic, they know how to do maths and spell, and, and they get a job, and then it's how do they deal with life, and it's like, well, if you know Reiki, it's just like meditation. It's
Mm.
bringing us back to ourselves, mindfulness and gratitude. It's like it should be a part of the core education,
I
and I'm
believe
sure it will be one day.
I think we are heading there somewhat. We are
Mm,
at least. My nephew is in year 6 or 7, and the younger one, and they do meditation at school now. They have a
yeah,
period where they
lovely.
do Zen teaching, and that is absolutely amazing because if you can get the younger generation prepared and teach them how to
Exactly.
handle the emotions and self-regulate, then you're going to
Mhm.
have less of this mental illness that is spreading like fire throughout the
Yeah,
world because people haven't been taught how to self-regulate. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
think there's a lot of good stuff happening in the world, but there's always yin and yang, right? Like there's obviously social
yeah,
media
yeah, for
spoiling
sure.
it.
It is just nice that there is more awareness. I know I've given
Yeah,
my book to quite a few kids just to say, if you're really in doubt, read it,
yeah,
see,
yeah,
and then they're, oh my God, it works. Yes, this is
yeah.
the gift you have. It's not me, it's you have this gift to tune into some insight. And so, yeah, it is getting more. I've had quite a few children that have lots of difficulties at school or and with crystal healing, and then their friends know or their family know, and in the beginning they're like, oh my God, but then eventually they start believing. And I do feel that more and more, the more of us that are out there, that will have that ripple effect, the positive ripple effect.
Absolutely. I think I know, like you mentioned as well. I think in America they have started using Reiki in hospitals. New Zealand
Yeah,
is not so much open to it at the moment, but that's one thing I really want to sort of break through is bringing it to the masses to say
yeah.
like it's so helpful. Like people don't know
Hmm.
how magical it is. It's not a magical cure, but it does it does what it needs you to do,
Yeah, for
and it's just
sure.
surrendering into it. Yeah, I know,
Yeah,
Selena.
I would.
Sorry, can
But
I
no, I
go?
was just going to say, I know because now in Europe, in London, in America, the Reiki Association have brought it to many places. So it'd be lovely if you could find out and
Yeah,
get together with some other Reiki people and get it into hospitals, because it
yeah,
is so great for the patient, but also the families that are dealing with sick situations or death or whatever. If they have somebody to help them energetically, doesn't stop certain things happening, but it helps you deal with life so much better. So yeah, it's
wasn't it Albert Einstein that said the future of medicine will be energy healing?
I don't know who said it, but someone did.
Yeah, I'm pretty
It
sure, and I
sounds
have to look
right.
it up, so don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure it was Albert Einstein.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
again, it's sort of going back to how things were. And it's like if science and energy come together, which is they are doing with acupuncture now, we have acupuncture in certain
yeah.
hospitals.
Mm.
And you think energy and medicine are sort of coming together a little bit. Some herbal medicine, homeopathic medicine is getting more mainstream. So it's sort of there, we are progressing,
Yeah, I think
hopefully.
science is finally catching up to all this. I know we said we might do a meditation, but I feel like we've sort of gone over time. So if you've got so
Yeah.
many free resources on your website as well. So could you please tell us where it is, and maybe you'll make the meditation available? Did you say?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
You can contact me on www.selenajoylovett.com. But where I do most of my work is on it's a website or an app called Patreon, and then you can look for me at Moon Healing and Divination. And then on this, it's almost like, as we said, it's like a Facebook platform. You can go on, there's some free resources, or if not, I think it's like $6 a month, and you can have readings and joining healing circles. And there's a lot of free resources there. I think yesterday I put in a couple of switch off journals and how to calm your mind journals. And so they're little things with tips. And there's also a psychic energy care. So when we spoke a little bit earlier, it's just so we become a little bit more of that we are energy, and how to cleanse our energy and ground ourselves, protect our energy, and just how to not be so affected by everybody else's energy. So there's lots of different things in there that are free, or and I think also on the first tier you can join up for a 7-day free trial, so you can go in and take the things and don't have to pay, or you can go in and like it and stay. And we're just trying to make a community there. There's ladies from many different countries where I think there's 2 men. they never
We
they
need to
never
get
come on.
one energy.
Yeah, but they're so we're mainly women, and we're the ones that sort of chat and give each other support. Some will say, "Oh my God, I'm feeling really lousy today," and someone will pull a card, because most people are learning divination. But it's nice. We had last night we had a healing circle, and it was just coming on and sharing. One was saying, "I feel really rubbish. I can't get out of this." Other one's got people that are involved in a war-torn country. Somebody else was going through, I suppose, a spiritual awakening. We just sat and talked, and then we did a meditation and sent Reiki, and everyone went away feeling supported and empowered to go on. And we sit and share. It's not all me. I do the moon circles, the full moon, and the other circles. But when you sit and share, somebody said, "Oh, why don't you do this?" So, because I was saying, "Oh, journal about, trying to get rid of some of the overwhelming feelings." And then one of them said, "Yeah, I journal, but then I tear the pages up and bury them, because they're gone then." So we
Mm.
share different ways of how to get through different challenges. So it's lovely just to have a group,
Yeah,
So
and I
yeah,
think, yeah, like you
lovely.
said, when the energies come together, it's so powerful. Alone on your
Mm,
own, you're powerful. When the energies combine,
thank
it's
you.
something even more magic, isn't
You'll
there?
have to come on one day, because in the healing, we do a monthly sort of healing for everybody, and a lot of the girls. So last month, she's a shamanic healer, came on, and she advertises her business as well, and does her healing method, because there's so many different
Yeah,
methods. And she came on, and I think well, we've got all different people that pop in, but they also leave their business details. So if anybody else wants to
I love
learn
it. It
from
sounds
you or do
amazing.
something from you. I know it's a bit different with the timetable, but we will try to work it out.
Do you
We'll
then
do
meet
something
on, so do you then meet on Zoom or,
on Zoom. Yeah.
okay,
So the only
cool.
real difference is that, so it's a bit like doing a face, going back to sort of Facebook, you put your posts on, but then some of the posts are only available to different types of
Oh,
membership. So
okay.
there's a free one, which they get a certain amount of content. So like I do a reading every now and again, and that goes to free. And then there's a more exclusive content that is paid for, and they get the downloads, or they get the weekly reading and this monthly circle, and they all get shared. So on the platform, you share the Zoom link, and from them, all the members know that on, whatever it was, Monday at 7, there's a circle, and they can join in. If they can't join, they still get included in the circle, and then they can watch the replay.
Oh,
And
excellent.
that's
I
what we
think,
do for all the circles. We've
it
got
sounds
some ladies
amazing.
in Australia. We do have someone in New Zealand. So we
Okay.
never actually see them, because but she gets the replay. So she still receives the benefit of the new moon
I
healing,
feel
or
like,
the, whatever we do, but people just join in. And it all really started because I know, as a healer, once a month, I think, "Oh, I just want something for me." So
yeah.
I had healing, or I would support a lot of other healers and psychics. And I said, really, once a month, we should all come together and do it. It didn't continue like that, but it's support. I think one of the things, it was support and energy for light workers, because we all need, even though we're doing this work, we still have our own lives that go through
Yeah.
challenges, or sometimes our energy can be depleted, not through lack of care, it just sometimes becomes overwhelming. So it's nice to get a top up of energy monthly, you know, plug
Absolutely. No,
us in.
I'll definitely be joining. I was just thinking, oh my God, because that all sounds so lovely. Like you said, we need to be replenished as well. So I'll be joining. So I will message you after we come off, and then if you just give me all the detail, I'll stick it into the show notes. So if anyone else wants to join as well, then they can do
Lovely.
that too. Thank
That'd
you,
be
Selena.
fantastic.
I just have one more question for you before we end. So say it's your last day on this planet, and it's time for you to go back home. What one message would you like to leave for the people behind? What is one thing that you want them to know and you know for sure that's worked for you in this lifetime?
Go through life with more of an expanded mind. You know, there's a lot more behind our 3D life. And to stay away from the entrapments of the 9 to 5 materialism, you know, look beyond that and gift yourself freedom of not conforming or fitting in, because your weirdness or where you don't feel you fit in is your superpower. And you know, to really know that we have this healing gift and a gift of divination, you know, and to don't let anyone take that power away, you know, just because it's not the opinion of everybody else. So I feel my message could be about 10 pages long.
That's brilliant. That is just so on point. I love that. That's such an amazing message to leave people with. So to that, we come to the end. Selena, thank you so much for
Lovely.
being here, and you are such a gift to the world. Please keep shining, and thank you for helping me in my journey when I was getting started. Your
Oh,
messages have really made me where I am today, and you have sent so much free healing to my child. There's been times when I've had to call on you and to say, "Hey, Selena, can you please help?" And without a question, you sent healing. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so
oh,
much,
thank
Selena.
you. All covered in
And
goosebumps. And
yeah,
likewise, keep shining and doing the work you're doing. It's amazing to see you growing and glowing so much.
thank you. I'm very early on my journey, but I'm definitely going to keep going. Thank you so much,
Brilliant.
and thank you for our
Thank you,
listeners.
my darling.
Yeah, and thank you to the listeners and to our audience today. Please do connect with Selena, because she truly is a gift to this world, and she can definitely help you on your path as well. And just I want to finish by saying, remember, if you believe it, then anything and everything is possible for you. So just keep believing in the magic. Look after yourself. Take care, everyone. Thank you.